Alright, this looks like it is live. Alrighty, cool. Let me get my chat window, my OBS window set up. So, yeah, I'm going to not talk until the stream actually comes online and people start coming in here. So, I'm trying to stream this evening on a brand new 14-inch M1 Pro. Now, this unfortunately does not do 4K very well at all. So, on my i9 ThinkPad, I could do 4K, microscope 4K, front camera, no problem, 60 FPS, no problem at all. However, on this right here, if I switch our output to 4K, this is in 1080p right now. If I switch this to 4K, which I'm going to do right now as you guys can see this, you're going to see, yeah, it won't even work right now. Okay, so anyway, if I switch to 4K, the frame rate drops to around 10 FPS, if that. So the M1 Pro doesn't seem to have the guts that my i9 does, but again, it's a 20 watt chip compared to a 135 watt chip. Anyway, we're sitting at 68 Celsius right here. That is 66 Celsius, which is totally fine. I mean, streaming my i9 will hit 110, 100 whatever Celsius. It's a laptop. And this is just staying here, so I'm going to actually show this on stream. This is on battery as well. It won't change much on charger. Let me add display capture here. It's going to want to complain about this. Let's see here real fast. Yeah, it's probably not going to let me, but let's see here. Yeah, it's not going to let me. Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, you have to take my word for it. It's sitting here at around 69 Celsius, between 65 and 70 Celsius, which is perfectly fine. I mean, that's much more than I would ask for out of an Apple laptop. But anyway, we are going to continue streaming. Let's see. Caleb says this stream is a scam. What's going on? Is it like choppy or something? What's going on with the stream? It's fine. So yeah. I tried with direct USB connection right to the Thunderbolt port, and it cannot handle 4K and OBS. It's embarrassing of what it says. It won't do it. It just won't do it. So yeah. Again, this is always believe benchmarks because don't always tell the full story. And that's the case here. Otherwise, battery life, I mean, temperatures, this thing is staying cool. Battery life lasts a long time, so yeah, whatever. I got this to measure stuff off of because we're getting more and more of the newer generation machines, and there's some stuff that it's like, okay, we don't have, this is fundamentally different than any other machine out there. Like at least the 2020 M1, the 2020 M1 Air and Pro, those basically shared the same board with the previous Intel boards. There was a lot of design similarities there. And these new machines, they are totally different. They're a totally different architecture. It's like not even the same people designed them, which is probably the case. So it's helpful to have a known good around to have that. And plus, the ThinkPad, I'm traveling next month, and it's kind of gets old to lug around a 10-pound laptop and a 230-watt power brick through an airport. So yeah, whatever. But let me just get this shared, and that's it. Okay. It's not 720. It should not be 720, is it? It is 720. Okay, hang on. We're going to fix it. We're going to fix that. No 720p here. I know what's wrong. Here. Can I fix this on the fly, though? That's the question. Output, stream, advanced encoder settings. Okay, that's set. Video. Okay. Do not panic. We'll be right back. Do not panic. We are coming back in a split second. Okay. So we're going to fix this. All right. We're gonna be back. Anyway, I will see everybody in a couple seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay. We're back. And I forgot to change FPS. Oh well, we'll have to wait for that next time. But anyway. Okay. One small disruption again. We'll be right back. One small disruption again. We'll be right back. The stream is not ended. Okay, I think we're back. So, we just changed to 50 FPS, and this thing went well up to 100 Celsius, but that's expected. I expect that of any laptop. Anyway, it looks like we're good to get started here. We're at 93 and 2400. That's fine. For the 5 nanometer chip, that's fine. Anyway, let's carry on. So today we have an A1534 that does not turn on. Now, nearly always A1534s that do not turn on are dead CPUs, as many of you guys know. And I think this one's going to be a little bit different because we have 5 volts on the charger, and that's actually pretty rare for these machines. They usually don't fail like that. And my DCM board just fell. So let's go ahead and have a look under the microscope, and it's attached to the carpet. Imagine that. So A1534s, they have no cooling, and well, they have a very sad cooling solution, which is this little copper plate here, which is not sufficient for the CPU. And the CPU spends most of its life at 100 Celsius, and it bakes itself, and it dies. And the data is on this board. There's no way to get it without getting the board working. And oftentimes what we're seeing actually more and more is PP1v1 sus or 1v sus, whatever, is shorting to ground, so you can't even heat the CPU up a little bit to get data off of it. You have to replace it. Anyway, 5 volts and like 0.16 milliamps or so, which is typical of a CD3215 issue, something like that. And you can see here that we have a CD3215C00 right here, which is the same used on a lot of other machines as well. So we have a C00 here, and this the diagnostic steps are the same with this. So anyway, I just want to go ahead and just do a visual on the board to see if I see anything out of the ordinary that might make me think that there might be a shorted capacitor, anything out of the ordinary. And on this side, I really see nothing. And if you happen to be the sad, poor owner of this machine, please keep your data backed up because it will die on you. It is a bad machine, and the CPU in this is less powerful than an iPhone 6. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Okay, so I wish I could show you display capture, but I can't because I have to quit OBS, and I'm not going to do that right now. So anyway, we have a little bit of some little differences here, and one thing I can say is macOS's scaling is so much better than Windows. It's so much better than Windows. Anyway, so we need to check our 3.3 volt line to our chip, and that's going to be PP3v3 UPC_VIN. That is pretty much the same as PP3v3 G3H on other models here. So, and it looks like we only have 3 viewers here still. That is terrible. Is this even live? People in chat, is this live? Hopefully. Yeah, it's live. People just don't like 1080p. That's understandable. Okay. Yeah. Whatever. 5 viewers. This is why, yeah. 13 viewers. Interesting. So YouTube is just being... Because it's showing here like 3 now. Yeah. That's weird that you guys see through 13, and on here I see 5. Now 5, 4. Weird. This stream is not in 240p. This should be in 1080p 60. So, yeah. Yeah, 4. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So we'll continue. I don't care. My channel has never had strong stream viewership anyway. So anyway, PP3v3 UPC is the same as PP3v3 G3 hot, and that is going to show up right here on this capacitor, and that possibly may okay, 2 watching now. It says 2 now. So if there's really 2 people, then it's time to end this, because this is not. It's funny, I got my own notification. Stream viewership. Let's see. Hang on here. Yeah, weird. Okay, carrying on. So PP3v3 UPC, whatever is going to be the same as PP3v3 G3 hot, and I just want to really check. I just want to see if this is shorted, because that's one of the possible causes of this. Is we have a short to ground right here. So let's get our multimeter on. Paul is here. And let's see if we have a short to ground. And it appears, let's see. We do not have a short to ground on the input or the LDO here. So when we have something like this, we could have an issue further down in the power sequence somewhere. We could have an issue with the CD3215, or there's something else. So what I want to do is just plug it in. I want to see if I get PP3v3 G3H, because I'm trying to think of how this would come to be, because it's not just going to happen like this. There's going to be a cause. There's a cause for nearly anything. There's always going to be a root cause behind every problem that you will ever see. So I want to think, how could this have happened? And the most common cause of something like this happening is somebody plugging in a lousy USB device. And what I can tell you is it looks like when I plug in my amp meter, okay, it looks like one side is dead. Yes. So on my amp meter, if I plug in my USB amp meter, okay, so I'm on this side of the port, and many people don't know this. The people do not know, a lot of people don't know this. They think this is one port. No, this is 2 ports. Okay, so I'm going to reverse this around this side. I'm going to plug it in here too. Right? Nothing. It's totally dead. So that leads me to think now our CD3215 is the primary issue that we have here, because if we had a systemic issue, we're not going to notice any difference on the port, and it seems like one port does not work, because that is technically 2 ports there. So I think that we have a bad CD3215 here, and I'm going to replace it. That's what I suspect strongly, and we're going to see if that works. Let's see, what did Peter say? U2 is a pretty good band, says Caleb. Okay, so our M1 Pro is sitting at 95 Celsius at 2800 RPM on the fan. I do not hear the fan. It feels warm to touch, but not crazy. And I can't complain at Apple for that, because it seems to be doing a decent job on 1080p streaming, and it is on battery. Now, I wouldn't, like I said, this cannot do 4K streaming. It will not stream in 4K. It just won't do it. It's not, I don't know if it's a port bandwidth issue. I don't know if it's a CPU issue. I don't know what it is, but it won't do it. And it may be something to do with the translation layer with OBS, because this is going to be running in Rosetta. But anyway, that's not terrible. This doesn't do a bad job at managing its thermals at all. A modern CPU, a modern light lung screw damage down that hole probably is, yes it is, but I've never seen an issue like this. It's not lifted, and that's mainly ground right there, so I'm not going to worry about it. So we have a lot of connectors near here, so I don't want to use too much heat. I'm going to use 265 to pull this so we don't melt anything. This looks like alien blood flux, says Paul. Yes, this is NC560, which is for lead-free, only alloys. So I don't know why I grabbed it. I guess I grabbed that because it was the first thing in my sight. So I'll take longer heat soak time over melting these connectors and having to replace them. So the solder around it is starting to melt. Okay. Oops. I almost had a Paul Daniels. I had a Paul Daniels at the course last time, which was embarrassing, but yeah, I'm sitting there soldering a CD3215, and my hand had a twitch, and it blew everything off the board. And of course, Lewis was right there to make fun of me, which was fun. All in good fun. He actually made fun of Paul Daniels more than me. So that made me feel better a little bit. Okay. Come on, iron, get hot. Get hot, little iron. No need for more flux. I don't want to ultrasonic this because if I ultrasonic it, it's probably going to die. Every time I see someone with one of these machines in public, I know if I throw the machine a dirty look, the CPU is just going to die right then and right there. That's what always happens. I really want to see this machine die off. I wish the 1502s and 1466 will stick around, but they probably won't. I want to see this machine die off. And I want to see anything with a T2 chip die off. And more M1s, because our success rate for M1 so far has been nearly 100%. We've had, to this date, we've had 2 no-fix M1s. One was a 16-inch, and it was no fix because it needed a screen. We fixed the board, and it needed a screen. And, yeah, try getting a screen on a 2-month-old machine at the time. And then another no fix was one that turned on but had an error, could not verify boot disk. It would not restore DFU, so it was likely a NAND issue, and that was the second no fix. All the rest of the M1s here have been fixed. So That's a pretty good success rate. I can't complain about that, and I do like working on those machines. I didn't know you existed at the time, Briz. Now I know you exist. Can you get a 16-inch A1534 screen? I'm curious about that. I didn't know that you could. Maybe you can. I don't know. CD3215. This is very concerning that Caleb is logged into TeamViewer here. That makes me think he's spying on me. Alright, these are fake chips. Yes, these right here are fake chips. And so are these. Why are these in here? These are garbage. Where's my real ones? These are real ones. But these are a pain to open because they're taped up. These are real ones too. John is here. You've been stalking me forever. That is a very comforting thought. I didn't even know you existed until like not very long ago. Oh, okay. Yeah, those 1466s are still good machines for many people. I enjoy fixing them. I have to say, I do enjoy fixing M1 boards more than 1466s, though. Because the M1s just, I don't know. You're standing outside your door right now. That is creepy. That is very creepy. And yeah, I'm glad my door is locked and that you can't get inside. So it's going to be a little bit trickier to solder this at the same temperature. So I'm going to go down to about 50% air, and I'm going to up my air to around 350. Or my temp to 350. And I'm going to kind of try and avoid putting too much heat on these connectors. And that is Caleb playing a door sound on the iMac, which is not going to troll me. That's why I said it's very suspicious that Caleb is logged into TeamViewer. It's almost there. It wants to. There, that is flown into place, and our connectors are unharmed. Our temperature on our M1 is sitting right around 90 Celsius, which is not bad. I wonder, how much will the temp drop if I command max fans? Yeah, so at max fans, it's in the 80s already. And you could barely even hear the fans. Listen to this. This is max fans. You can't even hear that. And it's in the 70s now. So my i9 will sit in the 110s. This it will sit between 100 and 110 at max fans. Anyway, let's see. But again, my i9 has more power than this thing, even though its benchmarks like half of what it does. Okay. Unless it's loaded off to the GPU, or if OBS loads off to the GPU, I don't know. Anyway, let's see what this does. And 20 volts, 5 volts, 0.04, that is better. Or it's not. 24. 17. Wait, will these not? No. I was thinking, do these stay at 5 volts? Okay, what about on the other direction now? Does the other direction work? Okay, the other direction now does work. The other direction did not work before, so we have made progress, but we have the same problem. But the other side is static as well. Okay, let's check what PP3V3G3H reads. Or PP3V3 UPC, whatever. I should get a raise. I'm working from home. Yeah, but you're not being told to work from home. You're just choosing to work from home. Okay, after raising, our fans are in the 70s now and sustained. So it's 9:23 p.m. and Caleb is still doing work for me here. Which is, yeah, Caleb's a good employee. He deserves a raise. And I have 3.28 volts. Now, I have 3.32. Now, the fact that it's 3.28, now normally on a line like this, we don't worry about that, but I feel like that's a clue. That's like borderline low normal. That, I don't particularly like that it's 2.8 that. Known good USB flex, yes, has been tried. Yeah, so it's still at 5.08 volts. So this is making me think that we have an issue as far as something on that line. Now I can't show you this, of course, because the thermal camera is not set up on this, and there's no USB ports in this. But anyway, I'm going to check thermal real quick and see if we see anything, and then I will show you guys what it is when I put a little alcohol on it, if there is anything shorted. But the fact that that's slightly low there makes me think something is pulling it low. Something is pulling it low, or pulling it down. I don't particularly like that, and it is a clue, so we're going to follow that clue. We always follow hints, because you never know if a hint is going to lead to the problem. So I have the board into the thermal camera now, and yeah, we're just doing that now. Okay, let's open this. It was a C00, John, on there, which should have been original. Okay, and it looks like, great, the SMC is getting hot at 51 Celsius, which would definitely cause this. If the SMC is bad, that's definitely going to cause this. Yeah, 51.8, 51.9. And the SMC has a very distinctive hotspot, which I don't like to see. Anytime you have a very, like, a distinctive hotspot on a chip, that definitely is suspect for an issue. So that's, yeah, that's not normal. I don't like to see heat like that from an SMC. So what I could do is to visualize this for you, because I'm streaming on this MacBook, not my normal i9 machine. Let's see here. Here it is. So hopefully I have an SMC for this board, because this board is old, and not old, it's just not common. We don't like working on these, but there's a little hotspot right here, okay? And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to pull a little battery sticker off. If you don't know where a board number is on this, it's right under here, okay? Right here. 687-B. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get a little acetone. I don't really want to use alcohol because it, you know, it's has a pretty good amount of water in it, and I don't want to get water under the SMC, although it's dead anyway. And that sucks. It doesn't want to come out. Here. Okay. So, look at that, right in the center there. See how it evaporates? Okay, let's look on this chip. See how it stays there, okay, for a minute? Doesn't do that here. So, I want to see if 3v3 feeds this. It does, Paul. There's one here that has that same fault. So what is this powered off of? Yep, PP3v3 G3H. And what do you know? PP3v3 G3H is what feeds that other rail that we just talked about. So I'm going to guess that our SMC is bad, and I'm also going to guess that our voltage will... Let's do something. Okay, we're going to unplug this. I want to do resistance on PP3v3 G3H before I take off the SMC and after I take off the SMC. So resistance to ground, I could do diode mode too. Yeah, we'll just do diode mode because that's easy for people to follow, I guess. So diode mode to ground, red on ground, black on 3v3. 0.155, okay, which is low. That is low. 155, we'll check right here too. Wait. No, right here. .045. That is way too low. So 0.045, that is pretty much a short to ground on PP3v3 G3H, and it's probably going to be caused by our SMC. And if it is our SMC, that's why it's not working. Because our CD3215 needs to talk to our SMC for anything to work. Let's do resistance to ground now. In ohms. .45 ohms to ground. That is way too low. So let's pull this SMC off. Let's see if that improves. But something was still wrong with our CD3215 because it wasn't working in that direction. So my guess is somebody plugged in a lousy charger to this and killed the CD3215 and the SMC somehow. Hope I have this SMC. Gonna let it cool down. And while it's cooling, I'm gonna go ahead and check for a donor board. And hopefully I have a donor board. I generally don't go by the board numbers on these. I go by the CPU revision, like SR33X, SR5ZN or whatever. But I think I might have one right here. What is this? Please be a 687. Please be a 687. Please be a 687, or at least something close enough. Of course, the sticker doesn't want to. 244-A. Well, what are you? This is going to be a 244A2. There's a chance it will still work. I don't care about this machine functioning. I want data only. So, alright, this is a 2442. Any more left in here? There's a half of one. This is a 45. There's another one. What are you? 44. Alright, we're just gonna go with the 44 SMC. Two concerns. One is the firmware, and two, no, a reball is not going to work for a shorted chip. Yeah, don't reball a shorted chip. It's not going to work. So, I'm going to try putting in the SMC from this 245 here on here. Now, we may have to change the CD3215 to a B01, which is on this board. And that also means we may have to change the ROM. But I'm hoping we don't have to. I'm hoping it works. Now, we will have compatibility issues here. We'll have like all kinds of issues. But all I care about for this machine is... See the guy in the Facebook group claiming SMCs are cross-compatible? Well, some of them are, or some of them will at least work to boot, and I'm hoping this will at least work to boot. Like, I could put a 00165 SMC on a 3437, and it will boot, but it won't work right. So, yeah, we're gonna try this out. And once this is all cleaned up, I am going to check for a short again. I'm hoping this machine boots. As long as I can get into target disk mode and copy this disk, that's fine. And as long as that's USB communication and keyboard communication, that's all I care about. Okay, that's done. The board's still pretty hot. Let me pull this one, the donor SMC off. I don't care about heat on this, so I'm just going to blast it off because I don't care about a donor. Okay. Resistance to ground now is 30-something kilo ohms, much higher. And diode mode is 0.327. So this SMC was indeed our problem. So let's go ahead and get this guy reballed here. This is a pretty easy chip to reball. We do have to do some cleanup on this guy. And I do want this leaded solder to come off here, so I'm going to use a little 560, which is good for lead-free alloys. Do the colors on this stream look a little bit different than prior, or is it just my broken eyes? Or is it the screen on the MacBook? I can't tell. A lot of times you struggle with pads that aren't tinned and stuff on chips, and the reality is it's just the flux you're using isn't, like NC559 isn't made for lead-free alloys, so you have to use something that's made for lead-free alloys like 560, and 560 works really well for this purpose. Yeah, Brady, I've left most repair groups. John. I've left most repair groups because for that reason I can't really tolerate people like that. I can't tolerate the vast majority of people. I've left cell phone repair shop talk is just cancer. I'm sick of seeing just drama day in and day out. I think I'm only in like 2 or 3 repair groups now. I don't want to participate in it. I don't get any business for it anymore. The only time you get business, the only people that get business from those groups are generally the lowest bidders, with the exception of a few people. But if you're charging reasonable rates, you're probably not going to get business. And if you are getting business, so if you are charging reasonable rates and you are getting business from these groups, you're only going to get business until someone new comes along, and then you're done. So once someone new comes along, you're out. Good as gone. You're going to get traded in. So my advice is, if you do not want to have a painful couple years in business, do not have your business primarily marketing and getting work from Facebook repair groups, because if you do, as soon as the next one comes along, as soon as the next person comes along, you're going to get traded in. And yeah, that's no good. So let me just grab a stencil here. The hunt for stencils begins. Yeah, it happened to me. It's going to happen to people in there now that I see. So yeah, don't focus on those groups as your primary form of income, please, because take my advice, learn from it. It's going to backfire on you. Okay, looks like it's this one right here, brand new stencil. Like, our business here changed drastically from this year compared to, let's say, 2018, 2019, when I did primarily work for other stores. As of right now, other stores make up less than 5% of our income, compared to where prior other stores made up close to 80% of our income. And yes, it was an adjustment process. It did suck for a while, but it's better. You get more money for less work, less headaches, and it just works out better. It tends to work out better. So generally, I would much rather deal with end users than repair stores now. Yeah, it's not 100% swap with SMCs. It's really not. I'd be happy if this would, like I said, all I want is target disk. That's all I'm looking for, is target disk mode. So we'll see. Okay. I'm at 265 and 4 liters per minute of air on the quick. Beautiful. Oh, not beautiful. Get back in there. Tweezer slipped. Okay. And And how does it look? It looks fabulous. Get this back on here. We got plenty of flux there, so I'm not worried about that. No, it's not a missing pad. There's actually a gap where there's no pad. So, yeah. It's a G-rated stream for most part, and then sometimes it may turn into other ratings, depending. Yeah. I got an email. It's not an email that I care about. That is down. And our M1 is almost dead. It is at 39%, and our CPU is sitting at 75 degrees Celsius. So I am going to... What is your airflow for what is your airflow for reball? I tend to use the lowest possible air for reball. I was at 4 liters per minute and 265 degrees Celsius. To put it back on, I was just at 430-60. So... Okay. So, board is still pretty hot. I don't want to turn it on yet. Blow it on a little bit. Okay. Now let's see what we get. Hopefully we get 20 volts. Hey, 20 volts. Imagine that. Yep, that is booting current. That is booting. This is booting. Okay. Now let's see if it actually boots into an operating system, which is my main concern, is will this boot into an operating system? I'm going to guess no. I'm going to guess yes. No. Yes. I don't know. Probably yes. Probably not no, because that seems to be booting current. And I hate reassembling these machines. These machines suck. I don't like reassembling them, so I'm just going to set this. I'm not going to touch this. Caleb can reassemble this. I am not touching this thing. Anyway, I'm just going to set the board in just for testing here, so look. Enclosure. Lousy enclosure. Trap of an enclosure. Tired. Okay. So screen is getting plugged in. I heard there was some rumor, I forget where I saw this, but someone was saying that you need a low power charger to plug these in, or else you'll kill the board on the first power up. Like, you need a phone charger that stays at 5 volts powered up. That isn't true. I've never experienced that. So, my quick is abused, says John. Yes, this is... Mine is 6 years old now. I got this when I was 16 years old. Yeah, almost 7 years old. And it is still going strong on the original heating element, and who knows how much money this thing has made me. It's been great. So, screen and charger plugged in. That's all I care about. Come on. Wouldn't it be sad to get this far only to have a dead CPU? How good is thermal compound at replacing thermal pads? Oh, see, an Apple logo. So, Pixel Castle, great question. I haven't tested it too extensively. This machine that you can't see, it's another machine we have in here. It's a Ryzen something, and it dropped the VRM temperatures around 10 degrees with carbon black compared to the thermal pads that it had on there. My home desktop, I tried the same thing, and it was roughly the same as the thermal pads. So it absolutely can be used to replace thermal pads 100%. We're actually coming out with a revision very shortly that'll even be better for that purpose because it's a little bit thicker. But yeah, carbon black can absolutely be used to replace thermal pads in some instances. Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. I want an iPad rehab shirt. You need to come to our course next month, Briz, and then you can have an iPad rehab shirt. How's this? Come to the course next month, and I'll buy you a shirt. Or I'll steal a shirt for you. How's that? Anyway, as you guys can see, this is booting, and it is booting sufficiently that I can get into target disk mode because it is booted into an operating system. So the answer is yes, you can use an A20000244 SMC on a 687 board. It works, it boots, the CPU is not dead, and that's it for today on this one. I'm glad that we fixed this. Carbon black pricing is $29 a tube, and it is you may say, well, $29 is really expensive. Well, for thermal paste, that absolutely is very expensive for a 10-gram tube. But carbon black is very hard to make because of its viscosity. It is not something that can be made automated. It needs to be made with both machines and by hand. So a good portion of carbon black actually has to be mixed by hand because it is in one phase in the process of manufacturing it. It is very, very, very thick. It's like, how could I describe the consistency of it? So, at one point in manufacture, it becomes almost like rocks. Okay, they're like pebbles. It's like pebbles, not even kidding. And that has to be like kneaded by hand in order to form a paste. So it is very expensive to make. It takes a long time to make. When like a thinner thermal paste, like just the general use stuff we're working on, ingredients can be thrown in a jar, put in a special kind of mixing machine, mixes it up, and it's done. That can't happen with carbon black. So carbon black is $29 a tube plus shipping. And that is conservative with pricing. I mean, it's almost not worth to make it at that price, but we will still make it. But as far as buying it for thermal pad replacement on a desktop or something, or graphics card, yes, it can be used for that. I have not tested it extensively, so I'm not going to say that it can be used for that yet, but it should not be a problem whatsoever being used like that. I believe the shirts are included, Briz. I don't know. I'm just joking. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're included. I think anyway. I don't know. I'm just an instructor. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm going to put this poor M1 to sleep. It's okay, so I just set my fans to max. It's sitting at 77 Celsius. That isn't bad for streaming. That is not bad at all. I'm going to set it back to system fans, and it's going to go back up. But anyway, that's it. We fixed the 1534, and that's all for tonight. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next stream.